The horses were quiet. That's what struck him first, not the open barn door, or the boots near the hay, or the stale coffee smell that wasn't his, just the unnatural quiet of animals that knew a stranger stood among them. He stepped in slow, calloused hands, hovering over his belt like instinct. The dust in the air hadn't settled yet. Someone had moved fast. Then he saw her, a girl, young, not small, standing by the rack, holding his oldest saddle in both hands like it might talk if she pressed hard enough. The leather creaked against her palm. She didn't turn. "That's yours?" he asked. Her voice came soft but steady. "Used to be." He frowned, stepped in fully now. "That's a family saddle." She turned then, hair tied back with something red and fraying, face lean but not afraid. "I know," she said. "My mama rode it." His boot hit the plank floor hard as he stepped closer. "You got a name?" She put the saddle down carefully, like it mattered. "Callie." "I didn't ask what to call you. I asked what your name is." She looked him in the eye. "Calhoun, same as the name carved in the barn post." His jaw tensed. He looked past her to the beam near the loft stairs. The name was there, half buried under new paint, old wood swelling out like a bruise. His father had carved it before the war. No woman ever had. "That doesn't mean anything," he said. "It means my mother bled in this barn," she said. "Gave birth where you keep your rusted oats." He stepped forward again. She didn't move. "You think walking in here and telling stories makes it yours?" "I don't need it to be mine," she said. "Just want you to stop moving the saddles." "You rearranged them," he snapped. "You touched things you don't own." "I put them back how they were," she said, "before your kind stacked them wrong." His hand dropped to the saddle. His own father's initials were burned under the flap. "Who the hell was your mother?" Her voice thinned. "The girl who cleaned out your stalls for pennies. The one your uncle used to call Little Shadow." He blinked. That name. He hadn't heard it in 20 years. "You're lying," he said. She reached into her coat, pulled out a photo so worn it was soft at the edges. "Hold it out." He didn't take it, but he looked. Black and white. A woman with sun-wrinkled eyes standing just outside the barn, baby on her hip. A man in the doorway. I looked like him, only it wasn't. "That ain't my father." "No," she said. "It's mine." He stepped back. The horses shifted behind him, one of them breathing sharp through its nose. "How'd you get in?" he asked. "The door was open." "No, it wasn't." She looked at him again. "Did you ever lock it when you were small?" His silence answered for him. She walked past him then, trailing her fingers along the old saddle posts. "I used to sleep in that loft," she said. "Mama kept a tin of dried apples under the straw. When the men got too loud, she'd press my head down into her coat and hum." He didn't stop her, just stood there. "You're trespassing." She turned. So was he. "Who?" "Your uncle." His mouth opened, then shut. She walked to the window and looked out at the hills beyond the fence. "This barn remembers," she said. "It remembers everything. Memories don't make something true." "No," she said. "But it makes it heavy." The silence grew then. He stared at her, at the way she leaned her weight on the post, like she'd done it 1,000 times, like she was home, like he was the one who didn't belong. "You can't stay here." "I won't." "Then why come?" She picked up the saddle again. Not the old one. A different one. Hers, maybe, because he's dead now. "Your uncle." And I wanted to see if the barn still smelled like fear. He didn't answer. She walked to the door, boots crunching against the straw. "I'm staying in town for 3 nights, she said. "That's long enough for you to think about who carved what into that post. You think this land owes you something?" "No," she said. "But you do." He stepped forward then, heat in his chest. "You don't get to talk about what happened here." She stopped at the door. "Don't I?" He said nothing. She stepped out into the daylight. Didn't look back. The barn was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty. He turned to the saddles. The old one, his father's, or maybe not. The leather still held her fingerprints. He didn't touch it. Instead, he walked to the beam near the loft, scraped at the paint with his thumbnail. The old carving came clearer now. Under the Calhoun was another word, smaller, tilted, faint. Ira. He stared at it for a long time. Then he sat on the wooden crate by the door and stayed there while the horses breathed slowly around him and the sun fell out of the window like someone slipping away. He stood in the doorway longer than he meant to, watching her smooth the blanket out over the hay like it was her bed and always had been. She didn't glance up, just tucked the corners in tight, folded the edges, ran her hand across the top like muscle memory. "I ought to call the sheriff," he said. "You ought to," she said, "but you won't." He stepped inside. The boards creaked under his weight. "Why wouldn't I?" "Because then he'd have to remember," she said. "Remember what?" She finally looked up. "Where he found my mama's shoe." He stopped halfway to her. "What shoe?" She pointed to the loft rail. "There, hanging right from that hook. I used to sit up here and stare at it till she came back." He glanced at the hook. It was still there, bent slightly, nothing hanging now. "You're making this up." "No," she said. "You just forgot it, or someone made you forget. I don't play games with ghosts." She sat down on the blanket, legs folded. "Neither do I." He watched her settle like she'd done it 100 times. She wasn't nervous. That's what got to him. She wasn't afraid of the dark corners or the rat holes or even of him. You don't get to just show up and rewrite the place. "I'm not rewriting anything," she said. "I'm just putting it back." He crossed his arms. "You were what, 5? 6? That was decades ago." 7, she said, "and no one's moved the nail under that beam, still sticking out like it was waiting for a dress to hang." He turned, looked. She wasn't wrong. "You came here for what? Nostalgia?" "No," she said, "truth." "You think the truth's still lying around in a barn?" "I think it never left." He sat on the edge of the feed box, arms resting on his knees. His eyes didn't leave her. "You act like you were raised in this hay." "I was, when they let us stay." "You mean squat?" She didn't answer that, just pointed at the far stall. "That wall, so see the dark patch? There used to be a hole there. My mama covered it with a flour sack. I could see daylight through it in the morning." He didn't look. "You expect me to believe all this?" "You already do. You just don't want to." He rubbed his palms together. They were dry, cracked along the edges. The hands of a man used to hold things that didn't speak back. "Your mother got run out of here." "No," she said. "She was dragged." He looked up. "You're saying my family. I'm saying she didn't leave because she wanted to." Silence stretched. The wind outside shifted the top boards. One of the horses made a low sound in its throat. "You said your name was Calhoun." "It is." "There's no Calhoun left around here but me." She tilted her head. "Are you sure about that?" He stood, walked over, looked down at her. "Why now?" She shrugged. "Sometimes the ground doesn't spit something up till it's ready." "What are you looking for?" She reached into her coat, pulled out a piece of cloth. It was frayed and folded and dirt-colored. She unfolded it slowly, gently. "This," she said. "It was my mother's. She used to wrap biscuits in it. I found it behind the wallboard." He looked closer. The cloth was stitched in one corner, a single letter. That could be anything. "She called herself Ira. Your uncle called her worse." His mouth pressed tight. "You don't talk about him." "I do when he leaves marks," she said, "in the barn, on her arms." He stepped back like she'd hit him. She didn't move, just laid the cloth across her lap and smoothed it flat. "You want revenge." She shook her head. "I want the truth said out loud." "Truth doesn't change anything." "It changes me." He turned away. I walked to the back corner. The boards there were darker, warped from age and cold. She spoke again, softer now. "There used to be a shelf here. I held a coffee tin and a little blue comb. You knocked it down once. Said girls don't belong in barns." He closed his eyes. That line. He remembered saying it. Maybe not to her, but he'd said it. "You still don't," he muttered. She stood now, walked over, placed the cloth on the beam beside him. "I ain't staying," she said, "but I needed you to know." "To know what?" "That place held her. That it holds me. That not everything goes away just 'cause men say it did." His hand brushed the edge of the cloth. It was soft, worn. "You have a family?" "No," she said. "Just what I remember." He glanced at her face again. She looked like someone he couldn't name. Or wouldn't. She stepped toward the door. "I'll be gone before the frost comes down. I don't want your pity. I don't want your land. Then what? She paused. A place remembers a woman differently than it remembers a man. She leaves behind air that still smells like her. He didn't answer. She picked up the blanket, folded it again, slower this time. Careful. Her hands weren't rushed. They were reverent. As she moved toward the ladder, he spoke low. What happened to her? She paused at the rungs. Last I saw her, she said, she was crying into the hay. The sheriff stood at the door and said it was time to go. He stared. She looked back once. Then they pulled her out. And you? I stayed till dark. Then I walked till I found the tracks. She climbed down. Her boots landed light. He didn't move. She left the folded cloth on the beam and stepped out into the cold. He stood in the same corner for a long time, the smell of earth and leather thick in his lungs. When the horses stirred again, he didn't hush them. She came back the next morning. Didn't knock. Didn't wait. Just walked into the barn like it hadn't stood locked for years. He was already there, fixing the hinge on the back stall. Didn't look up. Have you ever heard of knocking? I used to, she said. But this place never had a front door. He didn't answer. She walked slowly. Same boots, same coat. A little dust on the sleeves now. You sleep in town? She nodded. A woman near the store has a cot. He tightened the bolt with a grunt. Don't get comfortable. I'm not. Silence hung. She turned toward the old beam by the loft, crouched down low, ran her hand along the split wood. The horses didn't move. The air stayed still. I knew it'd still be here, she said. What? She didn't answer right away. She hooked her fingers under the seam of the board and pulled. A flake of dried mud came loose. Then something metal. She held it up. A nail, bent, rusted near the tip. This held her dress, she said. The green one, with the rip at the shoulder. He leaned against the stall gate, arms crossed. Green dress? Had white buttons down the side, one missing at the top. I don't remember that. You weren't meant to. She turned the nail over in her palm like it mattered, like it was a relic. He stepped forward. That could have held anything. No, she said. It was always her dress. Hang there like a warning. He looked at her hand, the way her fingers curled around the metal like it was still warm. Why would she leave it? She didn't, she said. He pulled it down. After. He stiffened. After what? She looked up at him. After she said no. His jaw tensed. That ain't how it was. Then you weren't looking. He stepped back. I was 10. You were there. I don't remember it like that. She rose, stepped closer. You used to bring her water, cold, in a chipped blue cup. You'd knock once, leave it near the post. He blinked. She kept going. Sometimes you leave apples, sometimes biscuits. He said nothing. You were kind. He turned away. You knew something was wrong. He grabbed a pitchfork off the wall, started moving hay like he had somewhere to go with it. You can't come here accusing folks. I'm not accusing, she said. I'm remembering. That ain't the same. It is when nobody else will. She placed the nail on the beam like it belonged there, then walked slowly to the stall near the back, ran her hand along the rail. He used to smoke here, she said. Left scorch marks on the post. Mama hated it, said it made the barn smell like hell. He turned his head. There were marks. Faint, but there. You think this place tells your story, he said. But it doesn't. It tells me. It told him before it told yours. He threw the fork down. You don't get to walk in and dig up every memory like it's yours. She stared at him. I'm not digging, she said. I'm reclaiming. This barn ain't a church. No, she said. It's a crime scene. He laughed once, sharp. You practiced that line on the way here. She stepped closer. You look like him. Who? Your brother. His face went flat. Don't say that name. Ira, she said. He clenched his fists. Don't. She tilted her head. He's dead. I know. You cried when they buried him. I was 15. You told the preacher he used to carve knives from hickory. He turned away. Fast. Like he could outwalk her words. She followed. You remember how he'd stand in the loft and whistle, real quiet, just to make the horses twitch? He didn't answer. I used to hear it, every night. He picked up a bucket, dropped it, picked it up again. You think bringing up a dead boy makes this yours? I think naming things matters. He spun around. He wasn't a monster. She didn't flinch. He was with her. His breath came hard now, chest rising like he'd been running. I didn't know, he said. You did. I didn't see. You looked away. Silence again, this time heavier. She picked up the nail, slid it into her pocket. I don't need you to confess. Then what do you want? For you to stop pretending this place was ever clean. He sat down on the low beam near the wall, palms on his knees, shoulders tight. She sang once, he said. Your mama. I heard her when I brought feed. She sang to me. Sounded like she was underwater. She was. He rubbed his face. I didn't know what to do. You still don't. He looked up at her. Her eyes weren't hard, just tired. You look like her. So I've been told. They sat quiet for a moment. The wind slid through the slats. Dust lifted, settled again. He stood. You gonna stay? Not long. He nodded. Barn's yours till frost comes. She gave a faint nod back. He walked out the door, not fast, not slow. She stayed behind, put the nail back under the beam, not hidden, just waiting. The truck rattled down the road with one headlight dead and the heater hissing like it was angry. She didn't speak for the first 10 minutes, just sat with her arms folded and her coat pulled tight, eyes fixed on the dirt slipping past the window. He finally spoke. You don't have to do this. She didn't look at him. I already did. You could have just left the nail. That nail's not what matters. He adjusted his grip on the wheel. You're walking into a wall. Then I'll push. The town came into view. Small, still, same as it always had been. No one hurried, no one watched. He pulled up outside the sheriff's office, left the engine running. I looked at her. You sure? Yes. He nodded once. She opened the door. Inside, the air smelled like burned coffee and sweat left too long in a shirt. Sheriff Brandt sat behind the desk, boots up, chewing something he wasn't offering to share. He didn't look surprised. Well now, he said, leaning back. Heard there was a ghost in town. She stepped in first. I'm not a ghost. He grinned. That's what you're calling it now. He stepped forward behind her. She's got something to say. The sheriff pointed at the empty chair. She always did. She sat, didn't flinch. You remember me? She asked. Brandt narrowed his eyes. Ought I? You pulled me off the ground behind the barn. He leaned back farther. A lot of kids ran around that place. I wasn't running. You sure? Yes. He scratched his chin. Name? Callie Calhoun. He looked at him. You know about this? He nodded once. She says her mother worked that barn. Worked in it, slept in it, bled in it, she said. She was called Ira. Brandt made a noise in his throat. Ira. It's been a long time since I heard that name. She was my mother. Could be. She lived there. No one ever filed anything. She wouldn't have dared. He smiled. Smart woman then. She leaned forward. I'm not here for a joke. Then you're in the wrong town. He looked at her. You think you can come back here, drop a name, and what? Get land? Get pity? I want the record fixed. He laughed again. The record's clean. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded sheet, yellowed, fragile. This is a copy of the old deed, she said. Look at the signature at the bottom. Brandt didn't touch it. Where'd you get that? County Archives. He looked at the man behind her. You drive her? Yeah. You believe her? I don't know. Brandt leaned forward now. You think some paper gives you a barn? She stared. Check the deed beneath the new one. The room went quiet. What did you say? She spoke slower. The one on file now is dated 12 years after she signed hers. Check what's under it. Brandt's jaw tightened. That's not how we do things. It's how the truth works. He grabbed the paper from her, skimmed it, tossed it on the desk. Anyone could have typed that. But no one did, she said, because they didn't think I'd come back. He stood up. I walked to the filing cabinet in the corner, yanked open the drawer, flipped through records. She's bluffing, he muttered. She didn't blink. He found it, pulled it out, hold it to the light. Calhoun, he read. Joseph, dated 2006, she said. He stared at it, then reached under the sheet, peeled something back. Another page, faded, handwritten, dated 1994. Brandt cursed under his breath. Her voice stayed calm. That's her handwriting. He sat down hard. How'd this get left in? Maybe someone wanted it found. He looked at the man standing behind her. You knew about this? He shook his head. I thought it was your family from the start. Brant ran his hand over his mouth. If this goes up the chain, it won't, she said, unless you make me. He leaned back again, slower this time. What do you want? Recognition. You want a plaque? I want the barn in my name. He raised an eyebrow. You know how this town works? I do now. He looked at the paper again. No way they'll let it stand. They'll let the truth stand. He chuckled. You think truth has legs here? I think it's crawling out of your drawer. Brant shook his head. You're gonna stir up old ghosts. They never left. He turned to the man. Are you backing her? He paused. I'm listening. Brant leaned forward, voice low. She takes that land. You lose your name. He didn't move. She stood. Then I'll carry both. Brant didn't stop her as she walked out, just stared at the papers like they were fire. He followed her outside. Are you sure this is worth it? She didn't look back. It always was. They drove back in silence. The wind pressed hard against the windows. When they reached the barn, she stepped out slowly. I looked at the door. He called after her. What now? She looked back. We hang her dress back up. The barn creaked through the night. Wood settling, wind slipping through the cracks like breath. She slept in the loft, curled up near the rail. No light, no fire. Just a folded coat under her head and the rustle of old straw pressed against denim. He didn't sleep. He sat downstairs by the gate, watching the beams, watching the ladder, listening. She hadn't asked for anything. Not food, not warmth, just space. And somehow, that made him restless. Near midnight, he stood. I walked to the back wall, started moving bales around, one by one, quiet work, the kind you did when your thoughts were louder than your hands. He wasn't sure why he dug there, but something pulled at him. Under the third bale, he saw it. A corner of fabric, dusty, faded blue, hand-stitched edge. He pulled it free. It unfolded slowly, dry as bark, soft in patches where time hadn't eaten it through. A quilt, small, child-sized, squares of mismatched cloth, corners crooked. Along the edge, letters stitched in brown thread. I see. He stared at them. His own family didn't have anyone with those initials. His mother's quilts were always signed in full. He climbed the ladder slowly. She stirred before he reached the top. You're still here, she said. I found something. She sat up, blinking, not startled, just tired. He held the quilt out, let it hang from his hands. This was under the hay. Her breath caught, not loud, just a shift in her chest. She took it, ran her fingers over the stitches like she was reading them. I remember this, she said. You sure? She looked at him. My mother stitched this during the cold week, said the snow wanted to come in and lay beside us. What do the letters mean? Her voice was low. Ira Calhoun. Ira, he repeated. Your mother. She nodded. This doesn't prove anything. It does to me. He sat beside her. The wood groaned under his weight. You think someone left it on purpose? I think she hid it. Why? So I'd find it. He stared at the squares. There were burn marks along one edge, tiny black spots like ash had kissed it. Your uncle used to smoke up. Here, she said. He looked away. I remember the smell. My mama used to wrap this around me to keep it out. He rubbed his palms together. She sang while she stitched, she said. Songs with no words, just hums that felt like breathing. She left it behind. No, she said. She was made to. He nodded. Quiet. This place is full of things you thought were gone, she said. But they stayed. You think the barn remembers. I know it does. They sat in silence. He reached over, touched the edge of the quilt. It's warm, he said. It always was. You gonna keep it? No, she said. It belongs here. She folded it slowly. Neat. Her fingers paused over the initials. Did you know her? She asked. Back then? He nodded once. She was quiet, he said, but not small. Does she ever talk to you? Once. Asked if I wanted her biscuit. I said no. She made good biscuits. I regret it. She smiled. Barely. Then it faded. You were kind. I should have been more. You were a boy. That's not an excuse. No, she said. But it's something. They sat still for a while. The wind pushed through the barn again. You think the sheriff's going to help? He asked. No. Then why go? To make him say it out loud. Do you think words fix anything? No, she said. But silence rots. He looked at her face in the half-light. She wasn't scared, just tired of being quiet. You want the barn? I want what was taken from her. He nodded again. She held the quilt to her chest, eyes closing slowly. He watched her breathing even out. Then he climbed down. Back on the ground, he looked around the barn. Nothing had changed, and everything had. He walked to the corner, cleared the dust from a rail, and hung the quilt across it. Let it settle. Let it breathe. He stood there till dawn. He was sweeping the barn floor when she came back. No sound, just the quiet scrape of her boots coming down the ladder like she'd never left. She didn't speak at first, just watched him. You sleep? He asked without looking. Enough. Still cold up there? It's colder down here. He leaned the broom against the post and turned toward her. Her hands were in her coat pockets, eyes steady, the same weight in her shoulders as yesterday. Maybe more. You found something? He asked. She nodded. I did. He waited. She didn't move. You gonna show me? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, worn soft, no stamp, no envelope, just the shape of something kept too long. She held it out. He didn't take it right away. What is it? A letter. From who? My mother. He looked at her hand. Where'd you find it? In the seam of the quilt. He took it slow, unfolded it. Read the first line, then the second. His face didn't move, but his hands did. Tightened, shook a little. He looked up. Are you sure this is her writing? She nodded once. Turn it over. He did. At the bottom, a name. The loops in the letters are sharp, familiar. His father's name, there was no date, no town, just a sentence. I bled where you said she couldn't stay. His mouth opened, closed. Where'd she write this? I don't know, she said, but she hid it for a reason. He folded it again, slower this time. I walked past her. You want coffee? He asked. No. He opened the door to the small cabin near the barn. She followed. Inside, the stove was still warm. A kettle sat crooked on the back burner. He dropped the letter on the table, poured himself half a cup. I didn't drink it. I don't know what you want me to do with this. Nothing. Then why give it to me? Because you already knew. He looked at her hard. I didn't know about that. You knew she was here. I knew she worked the barn. You knew she cried. He didn't answer. She moved toward the stove, picked up the letter, held it above the open door. You want to do it, she said. He stared at her. You're shaking, she said. He took it from her, slid it in. The fire caught fast, blackened the edge, ate it. She didn't blink, just watched the flames take it like they'd been waiting. He sat down slowly, elbows on his knees, hands loose. She never said my father's name before. She didn't have to. You think he... I don't need to think. He stared at the stove. Smoke curled from the iron. She said he gave her water once, then told her not to come back. She came back anyway. He nodded. Yeah. She looked around the cabin, touched the shelf near the door. Dusty. One mug, one plate, a cracked mirror. Have you ever lived with someone? She asked. No. You ever want to? Maybe once. What happened? They left. Why? I didn't like silence. She looked at him. You ever ask why your father locked the barn that week? I thought it was for the livestock. He said it was for the smell. He didn't answer. She moved to the window, looked out at the field beyond the barn. Dead grass, a few leaning posts, one broken wheel in the dirt. My mother said you were the only boy who didn't look away. I was just a kid. She said you brought her an apple once. I did. She kept the core. He looked up. Why? She said it was the only thing in the barn that didn't rot. His eyes closed. Brief. She turned back to him. I don't want to hurt you. Doesn't feel that way. I want you to tell the truth. He looked up. To who? To yourself. He stood. I walked to the stove, poked the ashes. Nothing left but black. Are you planning to stay? I haven't decided. Are you waiting for someone? No. He watched her. Then why are you still here? To finish. Finish what? She opened her coat, pulled out a folded cloth. It was the quilt. Again. This time the inside seam was split open. She handed him a small square of paper. Stiff. Old. Another letter? No. He unfolded it. A receipt. Dated. Signed. Property of Ira Calhoun. He read it twice. Is this real? It's older than yours. His chest rose. She stepped back. I'm not trying to take your land, she said. I'm trying to stand on hers. He looked down at the paper. What do I do with this? Not burn it. He nodded once. I folded it, tucked it in his coat. She turned toward the door. You gonna sleep in the loft again? Yes. He looked at her. Are you cold? Not anymore. Then she stepped out, and he didn't stop her. The car came late in the afternoon, slow through the dust, black, long, out of place. Its tires rolled silent over the gravel like it knew the way by memory. He stepped off the porch and wiped his hands on his jeans. Didn't speak. She was already standing in front of the barn, arms at her sides, not moving. The car stopped. The engine clicked once, then died. No one stepped out for a while. Then the back door opened. A man emerged, suit pressed, shoulders stiff, governor's pin on his lapel, silver ring on his left hand. He looked at the barn first, not the people, just the wood. He stared too long. She didn't move. He finally turned toward her, smiled. I thought it was gone, he said. It's still here. He looked past her at the barn again. Doesn't look like much now. It didn't then either. The man on the porch didn't move, just watched. The governor walked closer, not fast. His shoes left thin marks in the dirt. You the girl they're talking about? Yes. You got a name? Callie. He nodded. Your mother's? Ira. His smile shifted, barely. I remember her. She remembered you. I doubt that. She said your breath smelled like pipe smoke and cherry cough syrup. His jaw tightened. You used to come here, she said, when I was asleep. That's a big claim. It's a true one. He looked at the barn door. Does anyone else know you're here? They do now. He turned toward the man on the porch. That your father's land? Was, he said. Are you letting her stay? She's not asking. The governor laughed once low. That's new for this place. She stepped forward. You remember what you left in that loft? I don't answer to memories. You should. You think this is going to go the way you want? No, she said. But it's gonna. Go. He looked around. Field, hills, silence. You stir up ghosts. You better know how to bury them. They buried themselves, she said. I'm just peeling back the dirt. He stepped closer to her. His voice dropped. You don't have proof. She didn't blink. I don't need it. You want the land? No. Then what? I want you to stand in front of it and feel it again. He looked back at the barn. You think this place matters to me? It does. You're wrong. She stepped past him, walked to the door, opened it. He stared inside, dark, dry, empty except for the quilt still hanging on the back rail. Go on, she said. Look. He didn't move. She waited. He stepped inside. His shoes echoed. His head tilted. His eyes followed the beams. He stopped under the loft ladder, put his hand on the rail. You were small, he said. You were older. I was young. You were married. He didn't respond. You brought my mother whiskey in a jar. Stop. You said her name like it didn't belong to her. I said stop. She didn't. She cried into the straw after you left. He turned fast. You want a war? I want a reckoning. I'll bury you. You already tried. The silence came thick. He walked past her, out into the light. He stopped near the car. I looked back. Whatever you think you're doing, it won't hold. It doesn't need to, she said. It just needs to speak. He got in. The car started. As it rolled away, dust rising in its wake, he watched her through the window. She didn't flinch. She stood with her hand on the barn door, quiet. When the car was gone, the man on the porch stepped down. You okay? Yes. You knew he'd come? They always do. He nodded. She looked out at the horizon. What now? He asked. She didn't look at him. We wait for someone else to pretend it never happened. The wind was sharp that morning, dry and loud. It scraped against the barn roof like it wanted to. He was stacking feed when she stepped out from the loft, sleeves rolled, quiet as always. You gonna eat? He asked. No. You should. I want to show you something. He stopped, turned. Her eyes were steady. Her mouth is flat. What is it? Come to the gate. She walked first, toward the side fence where the oldest post leaned into the wind. He followed. She stopped at the gate latch. Wooden rail, iron hook, sun-warped. The latch hadn't been moved in years. She held out her arm. The skin was pale beneath the sleeve, scarred near the elbow. One straight line, raised, clean. This did it. He stared. You're saying the gate? She nodded. I tried to run. It caught me. He stepped forward, touched the latch, lightly. His fingers ran across the groove. There was still blood in the crack, dried, blackened. His hand dropped. That's not mine. I know. He looked at her arm again. Why'd you run? You know why. He exhaled. You never told me it got that far. I didn't have to. I thought you hid. I tried. Didn't work. He backed away from the fence. She didn't move. You think he chased you? He did more than chase. He looked at the barn, then back to the latch. I've opened this 100 times, never saw that. Because you weren't looking. He crouched down, stared at the groove. The blood wasn't new, but it wasn't gone. Do you think anyone else saw it? No. Why not? Because they knew what it meant. He wiped his hands on his jeans, dirt smeared with something darker. You came back here after? She nodded. 3 days later, I stood right here. Same post, same latch. Alone? Yes. What for? To see if the blood stayed. He stood, and it did. It always does. He stepped closer to the post, rested his palm against it. I didn't say anything for a long time. Why didn't you tell someone? I was a child. You could have. She cut him off. I did. You weren't listening. His mouth tensed. She looked down at her arm. I used to think the scar would fade. He looked away. I hoped it would. It didn't. He turned back. I didn't put it there. She nodded. I know. I didn't stop him. She said nothing. He stepped away from the post, back into the sun. I don't know how to fix it. You can't. Then what do I do? Remember. I do. Not enough. He looked at her. You want me to bleed too? No, she said. I want you to look at what bled and not turn away. He walked to the barn door, put his hand on the edge. He never said anything. He didn't have to. I didn't know. You felt it. He nodded once. Yeah, he said. I felt it. She joined him at the barn door. You gonna wash the latch? He shook his head. No. Why not? It belongs there. She looked up at him. So do I. He opened the door. Then come in. And they stepped back inside. She stood by the shed with a shovel in her hands. Dirt smudged across her palms. The sky behind her hung low gray, waiting. He stepped out from the barn. You're not supposed to dig here, he said. She didn't look at him. And yet I am. He walked closer, stopped a few feet from the edge of the hole. You think you'll find something? I know I will. You sure this is the spot? She stabbed the shovel in again, hard. I remember it. He folded his arms. You were a child. I had eyes. The shovel hit something, a thud. She crouched, brushed the dirt aside with her hands. Slow. What is it? He asked. Help me. He hesitated. Now. He stepped forward, took the second shovel leaning against the wall, started digging beside her. The dirt gave way, as if it remembered being disturbed. It didn't take long. A shape formed beneath the dust. Then another. 2 shallow graves. No wood, no names. Just earth and what it held. She knelt first, pulled something from the first grave. A button, bone white, cracked, worn by weather and time. He stopped digging, breathing heavy. What is that? She held it up. From her dress, the green one. The top button was missing. He crouched, reached for the other grave, fingers shaking now. He pulled something metal from the dirt. It clinked, a badge, rusted, bent near the edge. He turned it over in his palm. Sheriff's star, faded lettering. He went still. That was my father's, he said. She didn't move. Not anymore. He stared at it. I watched him bury this. Said it was done. Not done enough? He sat back, dropped the badge. Who are they? He asked. My mother, she said. And someone else he didn't want to find. He looked at her. You sure? I was here when they screamed." His throat went dry. "Why didn't anyone say anything?" "They did. Just not loud enough." He pressed his hands into the dirt. "This whole time." She nodded. "They were beneath your shed." He stood. I walked a few paces away, hands on his hips, breathing hard. "You gonna report this?" She didn't answer. He turned back. "You want the sheriff back out here?" "No," she said. "He already knew." "You think he helped cover it?" "I think he dug one of them." His mouth twitched. He looked at the graves again. Shallow, uneven, rushed. "You want to rebury them?" She shook her head. "I want them seen." "For how long?" "Long enough." He rubbed his face. "I don't know what to do with this." "You're doing it." He looked down. The badge caught the light. "She wore this," she said, lifting the button again. "The night she ran." He lowered his gaze. "You think he did it?" "I know he did. I never saw him kill." "You didn't need to." "I didn't stop him." "You couldn't. He kicked at the dirt." "I believed him." So did she. He sat on the edge of the grave, elbows on knees. "You want me to say it?" "Yes." He looked at the dirt, then at her. "He put her here." She nodded once. He whispered again. "He put her here." She reached into the grave and laid the button beside the badge. Two pieces of the past, side by side in the open. "I wanted to find her," she said. "You did." She stood, brushed the dirt from her coat. I watched him sit in silence. The wind moved through the tall grass behind the shed. Birds quieted. "What now?" he asked. "You decide." He stared at the ground. She stepped back. "I'll leave the shovels." Then she walked off toward the barn. He didn't follow. They met in the center of town. No podium, no announcement. Just dust under boots and the sound of boots stopping. He came with two men in suits. She came alone. The townsfolk watched from their porches, windows, and trucks, silent, elbows resting on knees, faces unreadable. The governor stood tall in his coat, hands behind his back. He looked past her, at the barn in the distance, then down at her. "You made a mess." She didn't blink. "I uncovered one." "You've said a lot." "Not enough." "You think saying my name makes you somebody?" "No." She said, "I already am." He stepped closer, not rushed, careful. "You're not mine." "I never asked to be." "Then why say it?" "Because your name's on more than your office." "That's not proof." She didn't answer, just looked at him. His jaw clenched. "You're not my child." She didn't look away. "Look at me." He hesitated. "Look," she said again. He did. Their eyes were the same color, the same shape, same uneven lash line on the left. She took one step forward. "You used to bring her apples in your coat pocket." He stared. "She said you were careful until you weren't." "That's enough." "She bled through the quilt she made with your name in the hem." "I said that's enough." "You're not denying it." "I just did." "Not well." He turned to the crowd, lifted his hand. "This is political." "No," she said. "It's personal. I never touched that girl's mother. She wasn't a girl," she said. "She was a woman. You just treated her like one didn't matter." He looked back at her. "You think they'll believe you?" She turned her face to the town. "Let them decide." The sheriff stood near the post office, jaw tight, silent, one hand on his belt, the other curled into a fist. He didn't move. She looked at him. "You remember the letters," she said. "You filed them." He looked at the ground. The governor stepped toward the sheriff. "Well?" The sheriff didn't speak. "You going to say something?" the governor asked. Still silent, the girl's voice cut through. "You always said silence keeps things in order." The sheriff's eyes lifted to hers, then dropped again. "You can't prove anything," the governor said. She reached into her coat. "Hold up a photo, black and white, blurred at the corners, a man and a woman outside a barn." The man's hand was low on her waist, his wedding ring gleaming. "That's not me," he said. "It is." "Could be anyone." "No," she said. "Could only be you." He snatched it. His hands trembled. She didn't flinch. "You'll regret this." "I already have." "This is slander." "It's a memory." "I could ruin you." "You already tried." He stepped back, breathing heavy. People were watching closer now. A woman near the grocer, an old man by the feed store, a boy holding his father's hand. "You want land? You want a check?" he asked. "I want your name off her story." "It's not on it." It's in her blood. He pointed at the sheriff. Say something. The sheriff didn't move. The governor looked back at her. You don't belong here. I never left. You're not wanted. That never stopped you. His face went red. You think standing here makes you brave? No, she said. Living through it did. He dropped the photo, stepped back. This is a setup. It's the truth. I won't be part of this. You already were. He turned. I walked to the car. People watched him go. The girl bent down, picked up the photo, slipped it back into her coat. The sheriff walked over, stopped a few feet from her. Are you all right? He asked. Yes. You sure? Yes. He nodded. The crowd stayed quiet. Then the old man by the feed store stepped forward. Was her name Ira? She nodded. Yes. He looked at the ground. She used to hum near the barn. I remember. She helped my wife sew patches one winter. She had kind hands. She didn't deserve it. No, she said. She didn't. The man turned back, sat down again. The girl stood alone in the dust, coat open, hair pulled back. She didn't cry. The sheriff cleared his throat. You want protection? She shook her head. You gonna stay? For now. He looked around the town, at the people who'd stopped pretending not to see. They'll remember this, he said. They already do. She turned, walking slowly back toward the barn. The badge on the sheriff's chest caught the light, but he didn't follow. The barn door stayed open that morning, wide. Sunlight filtered in through the slats like it wasn't sure it was allowed. The quilt lay in the middle of the floor, spread flat, every stitch visible, every corner was worn. The name Ira stitched small in the hem, fraying. He stood near the ladder, arms folded, boots dusty, eyes steady. She waited by the entrance. People came slowly, one by one, whispered, looked, stayed quiet. The sheriff was the last to arrive. He didn't speak, just nodded and leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets. No one told them what to do. No one called it a vote, but they knew. The first voice came from the back. I remember that name, a woman said. Ira. She sewed patches for my daughter's coat one winter. People turned. She hummed while she worked. The woman added, like the coat wasn't the only thing she was mending. Another voice followed. She gave me bread. After my husband died, I hadn't asked. Someone near the door muttered. They told me she ran off. I didn't believe it. A man stepped forward, slow, hat in hand. I was young, he said. 12 maybe. I saw her in the loft once. She looked tired. Not scared, just tired. The girl stood still, eyes down, hands in her coat. She came to my shop once. Another woman said her name was Ira Calhoun. I remember because she smiled when she said it. Someone asked, why didn't anyone help her? Silence. The sheriff spoke then. Quiet. Because the ones who could have were the ones she needed help from. Heads turned, but no one argued. She used to trade eggs for soap. Another voice offered. She never asked for favors, just counted every penny twice. More people entered. They moved along the walls, leaned on beams, sat on crates, eyes on the quilt. She helped my sister give birth in the field, one woman said. No one ever thanked her right. The barn is filled with stories, small ones, software, but sharp like gravel underfoot. Every thread pulled another. Ira left a scarf in my cupboard. She kissed my boy's forehead after he fell. She used to sing a song about a willow. The girl stepped forward. My mother made this quilt after she lost the baby, she said. No one moved. She bled for days. No doctor came. She stitched through the pain. The man by the ladder asked, why didn't she leave? She had nowhere to go. Someone near the window spoke. But you came back. Yes. Why? To finish her story. The sheriff walked forward, picked up the edge of the quilt, held it like it weighed more than cloth. I remember this pattern, he said. She brought it in once, wanted to show me something. I didn't look. He set it back down. She'd still be a rumor if the girl hadn't come back, someone whispered. She's not a rumor anymore, the girl said. A hush spread. Then the woman from the mill stepped into the center, hair pulled back tight, wrists rough with work. My brother knew, she said. He told me years later, before he died. Said the girl in the barn wasn't safe. Said the badge didn't mean what we thought it did. The sheriff's eyes closed just for a moment. The woman looked at the quilt. She deserves her name back. Someone near the back nodded. Yes. More voices followed. She does. She's earned it. Let her have the barn. The man by the ladder stepped forward. We can't undo it. No, the girl said. But you can stop hiding it. The sheriff looked around, counted faces. You want this said plain? He asked. They did. He turned toward the quilt. This barn belonged to Ira Calhoun, he said. The land covered her pain, and now it remembers her. He looked at the girl, and the town stands with her. No one objected. The girl nodded. Once, she knelt by the quilt, smoothed them. Let the name show. This time, no one looked away. The courthouse smelled like wood polish and quiet lies. He sat with the ledger open in front of him, thick book, edges warped, pages yellowed and sticky from heat and history. She stood across from him, arms crossed, face still. The sheriff flipped through the records, slow, methodical. This won't say what you want, he muttered. You don't know what I want, she said. He stopped on a page, scratched his beard. You're sure it's in here? Yes. I've gone through this book more times than you've walked past this office. Then maybe you missed something. He peeled a corner, a page that looked newer than the rest. Too clean, too flat. You see that? She asked. He stared, didn't move. Sheriff, I see it. He lifted the edge. Beneath the pasted page, something faint, written in blue ink that had faded to gray. He blinked. Ira Calhoun. She didn't say anything. He ran his finger over it. No stamp. No formal entry. It was erased. Covered. Same thing. He closed the book. Not fast. Not slow. That's not legal proof. It's enough for the town. He looked up. You want me to make this official? I want her name back where it was. You're asking for more than a name. No, she said. I'm asking for less. Just truth. He nodded once. Give me the ledger. She reached for it. He held on a second longer than needed, then let go. She carried it out like it weighed more than her coat. The barn looked different in daylight now, not new, just less haunted. She set the ledger on the feed crate and opened it again, turned to the page, flattened it, stared at the faint name beneath the false one. He stood near the door, watching her. You gonna rewrite it? No. You should. She wrote it once. That's enough. You want me to tell the town? They already know. He stepped forward. You gonna stay? I don't know. You could. I might. He looked at the saddles, all out of place. Need help putting those back? No. You sure? I remember where they went. She walked to the rack, lifted the first saddle, heavy, worn. She laid it down gently on the third post from the left. That one was hers, she said. You sure? She used to rest her forehead against it when she thought no one was watching. He nodded. She moved to the next, placed it, stepped back, adjusted it slightly. They used to hang lower. They still can. She found the old hook, half bent, straightened it with her boot. Uncle Ira moved them, he said. I know. Did it to erase her. He failed. She set another saddle. This one newer, didn't belong. She removed it, set it aside. Too many things in here that never belonged, she said. He stepped to the window, looked out at the hill beyond the field. People say the governor's not coming back. Good. Sheriff said he turned in his badge. He should have buried it. He turned, watched her move. You ever think about what would have happened if she stayed? She did stay. I mean, if she hadn't died. She would have kept working, kept sewing, kept humming. He watched her hands, slow, certain, placing one saddle after another. You have her hands, he said. I have her memory. He took a step forward. You know what else was in the ledger? She looked up. What? Notes from the preacher. Land disputes. Birth records. She stared. Birth records? He nodded. I didn't tell you sooner because I didn't believe it. What did it say? He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded slip of paper. I made a copy. She unfolded it, read, quietly, her name. Next to it, Mother, Ira Calhoun. Father, withheld. She traced the ink. It looked fresh, but wasn't. They tried to hide you, he said. She nodded. They almost did. She folded the paper, slid it into her coat. I don't want his name. You don't need it. I want hers. You already have it. The barn stayed silent for a while, just the sound of her shifting saddles, wood creaking. When she finished, she wiped her hands on her coat and walked toward the feed crate. She opened the ledger again, looked at the page. She didn't cry. She just sat there a long while, watching the ink settle into light. Night came. She lit a single lantern, left it on the hook. He came back with 2 mugs of coffee, set one down beside her. "You gonna keep the barn open? For who?" "For whoever needs it next." She took a sip, nodded. They sat quiet. No need to fill the space. The saddles were in place. The name was in the book. Outside, the wind carried dust toward town, but the barn held still. It always had.